Good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar event. My name is Joshua. I'm going to be your presenter today. It looks like my audio is coming through loud and clear. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. We're here to talk about a couple of payroll topics, printing checks issues or check functions in Church Windows Payroll today. Before we get started on that, a couple of things. Click the little red arrow on the sidebar of your webinar control panel, minimize that screen, get it out of the way. If you've got a single monitor, it allows you to get the full visual effect of our presentation today, or drag that control panel off to your second desktop if you've got a dual monitor setup. We're here until about 20 minutes after 1 Eastern time today. We may not even be here for the full 20 minutes, honestly, folks. This topic is not terribly complex today. But they're important, and it's important to know where these functions are and how they work. There are two handouts in the handouts panel or section of the webinar control panel today. That is the print material that I am using for the basis of our webinar presentation today. Reprinting check stubs and renumbering payroll checks. Those are the two handouts. If you're unable to find those, email us in response to the follow-up email you'll get today. We'll be happy to send those to you, or you can find them on the Support Center page at our website. Either way. But just wanting you to know it's not actually from workbooks today. It's from the actual, some documents that we have on the Support Center page at all times for folks to be able to access or reference. We are recording today's webinar event. You will have the video probably up on our website later on today, or at the latest probably first thing tomorrow. Okay, I'm being told, oh, sorry, there's my screen. I didn't restart it, my fault. So sorry, folks, hopefully you should see everything here. Recording it'll be out on the website today, later today, or first thing tomorrow. You can revisit this topic if you wish. If you have questions, please type those into the questions portion of the webinar control panel. I'll do my best to keep an eye on those, and I'll see what we can't do to get them answered during the event, or at the end. I'll be happy to stick around and answer questions if we don't get to those. I simply ask that you please keep the questions on our topic at hand. Not that we don't want to answer those questions. There just may be another webinar that's better suited for the questions you have, or it may be something specific to your data. We simply don't have enough information to answer the question for you. Okay, so let's talk about reprinting check stubs. So we can always access pay stubs. It doesn't matter whether they're checks that you've printed and distributed to your employees, or you've got direct deposit employees. All of the check stubs are available for all employee types at any time during the pay year, okay? So how we access those is by going here to Reports, and right down at the very bottom, we'll see the option that says Reprint Check Stubs. So we click on that, and it asks us, as it always does, do we want it for particular employees? Do we want to choose specific employees? Basically the same level of control we have in any other section or part of payroll. We're going to go ahead and just click Next. We're not going to choose any department or specific employee. We're just going to print for everybody. So here then we have to enter the pay date that we are recording or trying to reprint these check stubs for. So you have to know what that date is. We do have a pay stub or pay period for April 30th, but just to show you, I'm pretty sure we've got one here for, let's say we want to backdate it to February 15th. All right, so we've got our pay date of February 15th. We're going to enter that under our pay dates from and to. You can enter a broader range, and it will show you pay stubs for multiple periods, okay? So if you do that and it crosses pay periods, you may see 2 or more checks for all of your employees or for the employees that you select. So simply once we click Next, notice it now brings up our list of employees with our checks. So a couple things here. I don't have any direct deposit employees. Otherwise, it would show the ACH sequence number here in this column. So it will bring in direct deposit employees if you wish and if they're here. Okay, we don't assign check numbers to direct deposit employees in Church Windows Payroll. Those have this number called ACH sequence number, okay? And it'll typically say something like, I think, either EFT with a number on it or ACH. I forget which it is. Sorry, but I think it's EFT with a number. So it'll show the date, the employee contractor name, the net pay amount, reference number if applicable, the ACH sequence number if they're direct deposit, and the employee's address. Okay, so you have a lot of control here. I can choose one employee. So if I now click next, it's going to bring up all of my checks for my employees. Okay, it's going to print whatever employees I see on the screen. So if I do need to choose specific employees, I do need to do that at that previous window. So what I mean by that is, if I want to print for just one employee, I have to go to Reports, Reprint Check Stubs, choose my specific employee, and check my one employee or multiple employees if I want to do that. So let's say I choose for Larry and Jimmy, leave it April 30th, or enter my pay dates from and to, and there's my two employees that I've selected. I now click Print or Next. It opens up the print preview. It shows on the check a watermark that says non-negotiable copy. Okay, so it shows just like a regular check stub or check would print, but it says non-negotiable. I'd want to make sure that there's plain paper in my printer. And then it shows, in this case, Larry, my senior pastor, on page 1. It shows Jimmy, my part-time custodian and organist, here on page 2. I can now click the print icon in the upper left and send that to my printer into plain paper. Okay? So, again, nothing too terribly challenging about reprinting check stubs. You might get an employee who comes to you, at some point and says, oh, I'm applying for a mortgage or a loan and my bank wants, the past 6 months worth of pay stubs. We can absolutely do that for one employee for the required period and do it all in one fell swoop. You don't have to do it for, multiple. You don't have to do the separate check runs. So let's say, for example, I do want to do that. So let's say Jimmy is wanting to be able to have us reproduce check stubs back to the start of the year. I can do clear all, choose just Jimmy. Right here, I can now go back and date this, say, to January 1 of 2021 through April 30th. I'd have to go into my previous payroll year to pre-print the last month, and there's all of my pay stubs for Jimmy for the first 4 months of the year. I simply go to Next, and I just send those to my printer in plain paper, okay? And then I can present those to him. Great. All right. Again, work with this, play with it. It's a really great function when you need it, okay? Hopefully you won't need it too terribly often, but it's nice to know it's there when you do. All right. Let's go back into, let's talk about our second page topic here, renumbering payroll checks. Okay. Now, we don't have at this time an option to reprint checks, okay? If I needed to actually physically reprint a check, I would have to void the payroll that it was posted entirely for that employee or employees, recalculate the payroll, and print new checks. But if all I need to do is say the numbers that are assigned to employees for a particular pay period are wrong. So when I go to my void individual pay, what I mean by that is, let's say our April 30th pay has some employees whose check numbers are wrong. Okay, so let's say that, Jimmy and Larry's check numbers are wrong here, 9822 and 9823. Let's say they're, or let's say they're all wrong. Okay, they were off by a number. The check stock was good. They're presentable. The check numbers are simply assigned the wrong numbers in our payroll software. And we've transferred that incorrect check number status into our accounting too. So how do we fix that? So we don't have to void the do it. We can simply click on Payroll, and right here, about 2/3 of the way down, renumber checks. Okay? So it opens up our renumber checks. It shows our most recent pay date in the menu, but here I can go back and I can renumber any check in the payroll year that I'm working with. Okay? So I will notice here all of my previous pay dates are here. I can only do one pay date at a time, though. Okay? So let's say our April 30th check are wrong. Okay, so here I've isolated my employees. Now I have to choose the employees that I want to renumber for. This is where I was getting confused on my other one. This is where I have the ability to choose specific employees. So I can click on one, Notice I've highlighted Larry. Or I can choose, these are Microsoft-based applications, folks, so I have the same conventions I do in other Microsoft apps. So what I mean by that is, if I want to select random records, I can hold down my control key and I can choose random names, or I can do the select all and select all of them, okay? So if we assume that they're, all wrong, again, I can choose one, hold down my control key and just select random names if I have random names that are wrong, or I can just do the select all button at the top if I want to check all of my names. I could do the shift key and select them all as well by doing it the old-fashioned way if I want, but I've got the select all. It'll just save me some time. So here I've got them all selected. Okay, so now when I go to next, it should say, okay, here's my old check number. It says, what's my new starting check number? I can click in here and manually change them, but let's say I meant them to be 9821. Okay, so now if I hit tab on my keyboard, notice it will auto-sequence those, okay, in order. If that's good, I don't have to do anything else. But somehow the order that they're entered here is the number of sequencing is not how they're ordered. I can click on any one of these and change them, okay? Full control, okay? So we're good on this. So we're going to say, yep, the 9821 through 9829 is exactly what we're wanting. We're going to go to next. It then says confirm new check number and click continue, okay? So it says, please confirm that you want to proceed by selecting the yes option and then click continue. So over here, notice, let me get out my highlighter here. So introduce that for the first time. Right over here is what it's talking about. It defaults to no until you change it. So if I change it to yes, let me get rid of my drawing here. Okay, now I can go ahead and click continue. And it's going to say transferring payroll data to accounting. Okay. Notice it says under the note in the bottom left, renumbering checks is a slow process. It can take up to 10 seconds or more to renumber each check. It's literally going into accounting, folks, and it's changing those transactions in accounting to assign those the new check numbers. So it's voiding the old checks and it's reassigning the new check number to those payroll transactions, okay? So it's doing a fair amount of work behind the scenes for us here, okay? So it's kind of nice. It's pretty handy. It takes care of it all for you, okay? So we're just on hold here until this finishes. Hopefully it should be wrapping up soon here. Maybe I should have chosen fewer checks, but it is what it is. But it'll confirm when it's done here. Well, 10 seconds per check. I guess I'm going to have to continue to talk here. Yeah, so... Oh, it's still doing another one here. Sorry, should have done fewer. Yeah, so there we go. Renumbering process was successfully completed. We click OK. Now when I go back into my payroll and void screen, go 9821 through 9829. Those original paychecks are voided. The checks are voided in accounting, and the new check numbers are now assigned appropriately or to the transactions in accounting as well. So the system's pretty smart that way, okay? So just FYI, that's how the renumbering process works, okay? So that, folks, is our topic for the day.